she said something stupid, and she's admitted it was stupid. But unfortunately, there are people with much more power than her who have that same stupid idea.
Right.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
There's a CNN writer, CNN columnist, and author who, according to her Substack, she writes about women's rights, politics, foreign affairs, and law. Other places call her a feminist. So all that sounds good. That sounds good. I support feminism. I support women's rights. Maybe women's rights in the workplace, things like that. But are you familiar with Jill Filipovich?
It's one of those names that rings a bell. Like, I'm sure I've seen her byline before, but, not someone I would follow closely by any means.
Well, last week on Twitter, she decided to opine about the retirement age. And I'll just read the tweet verbatim for you here. She says, "I'm sure I'm opening a giant can of worms here, but it seems fine to raise the retirement age very slightly in nations where populations are healthier and living longer." She ends it with a question mark there. And she does that from Kenya on a safari/yoga retreat with other writers.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Yeah. Just love to talk about cutting benefits for folks while I'm on my safari/yoga retreat.
I mean,
in another continent. Yes.
Could you? I just honestly, that baffles the mind. To be the idea that you could be sunbathing on the other side of the world and, phone in your hand, tweet away about like how, is it possible that working people have it too good? I wonder if that's the case. Maybe it'd be fine if working people had it a little worse. Maybe that would be fine. I mean, it's just super bizarre to me.
I'm willing to make a concession here. I know I'm not normally one for concessions, but I'm willing to make one in this case.
Okay, let's see.
Jill and everyone who attended the safari/yoga retreat, their new retirement age is now 75. Okay. Everybody else, we're going to lower it. We're going to lower it. Go. We're going to have a much better retirement age. I think we should just lower it to 60. Why not?
Right. Yeah.
Screw it. Let's go to 60, except for Jill. Jill and her friends, they've enjoyed a safari yoga retreat. I imagine that added quite a bit to their quality of life. And so I'm sure they'll have no problem working until they're 75.
Right.
I mean, how hard can it be, really, to just crank out some tweets for CNN? Yeah. I
could do that. I could probably do that till 75. I don't know if I would want to, but I probably could.
Yeah. So she gets to work till 75. I see her point. I'm sure having a yoga retreat means that she's probably healthier than I am. So yeah, she is more than welcome to work very slightly longer. But for the rest of us, no, actually, we aren't down for a cut in our retirement. Not cool.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Dude 87 in the chat mentions that life expectancy has fallen in the U.S. in the last few years. And that's actually exactly the point that another progressive, quote unquote, made in the replies to this tweet, Brianna Wu. Are you familiar, Adam, with Brianna Wu?
Not really. Not really, no.
Okay. So Brianna Wu is from her Wikipedia page. She is an American video game developer and computer programmer. She kind of came to fame, in my understanding, from Gamergate as one of the oppositional figures to the weird kind of.
So she was maybe one of the women that was being
yes
attacked with stupid vitriol by weirdos on the internet.
Yeah, that's my understanding. My understanding. Okay, and so now she is, if you go find her on Twitter, she is the executive director of Rebellion PAC, and Rebellion PAC is one of these one of these PACs that's supposed to be, like, oh, we're the fighting progressives. We take no corporate money, they say. They say we take no corporate money. They've got a code of ethics, and so, look, you read this and you think, oh, maybe this is a person that's like progressive. That's what you would immediately think. That would be your immediate assumption there. But she replies to this tweet of Jill Filipovich's saying, I would normally agree, ? But have you seen that life expectancy has actually been falling in the United States? And so, so Brianna comes into this conversation, just this absolutely wild tweet from, one of the most privileged people in the world, talking about how working people should maybe work longer. And she is, as a, supposedly fighting progressive, she jumps in and says, yeah, you know what? I would normally agree with that. I would normally agree that working people might actually have it too good and they should be working longer. But now life expectancy in the United States has fallen. So maybe we want to, wait a little while before we tell working people to work longer. Just wild.
Yeah, so I mean, presumably, if life expectancy is not declining somewhere else, in Europe, perhaps, I assume that Miss Wu would prefer they work longer and have less of a retirement pension.
And that seems to be what came of their conversation, because Jill says, oh, yeah, I know. I was talking about France. And then
guess what? I don't want French workers to take a cut either.
Right.
Why should they? They should not. And more power to them for fighting back. It looks like it's, so far, not stopped it. But, I really have a lot of respect for the unions and the workers in France who have been fighting tooth and nail to defend their retirement. And I think there's a lot we can learn from that. Mm-hmm. But it's just, it's just really pitiful when you have these privileged folks literally on vacation.
Right.
Bemoaning how good we have it as people in this country. And it's just, they clearly have a very different reality than most of us experience.
Exactly. And to address it on its own merits, would it be fine? I mean, if we define fine as, the world wouldn't end if in France they increased the retirement age from, 62 to 64? Is that what they're going for? It would not, the end of the world wouldn't happen. That wouldn't be the literal worst thing that could happen to French workers. But the question is, with the increased productivity that workers have all across the country since the Industrial Revolution, should all of the benefits from that productivity go to the bosses? Should it go to the owners? Should it go to the capitalists, as has been the case since like the 70s and the 80s? Or should workers be able to retain some of it in the form of lengthening our retirement? And the answer to that, in my mind, is obviously the latter. Workers should obviously be the beneficiary, at least in part, of the explosive increase in productivity that we have seen over the past 5, 6, 7, 8, the last century. And the idea that the idea that people, that thought leaders, that politicians would have any other proposal is baffling to me. Is baffling to me if it comes from if you're not coming from just an from just a evil maximizing place, right? If you want to maximize, the amount of evil in the world, or you would just want to maximize the amount of money in some rich person's bank account, I can understand that. But if you are at all concerned with a fair distribution of wealth and resources, the idea that working people should have to toil longer is absurd. It is absolutely absurd. In fact, because of the rise in productivity over the last century, we should be looking at lowering the retirement age and ensuring that more people have more leisure time. Or maybe instead of lowering the retirement age, maybe we cut the work week, right? That's another thing that back in the 30s, John Maynard Keynes said he would anticipate in 100 years that the work week is down to 15 hours because of the increase in productivity.
Right.
But instead of that, instead of people working less because of the increase in our productivity, we are now, in some cases, actually working more than we did 30, 40 years ago and making the same amount of money and working longer because all of the increases in productivity are going to the top instead of the workers.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think in this day and age, for anyone to discuss cuts to Social Security or other retirement is totally egregious. We should not be looking at cuts. We should be looking at enhancements to the benefits, whether that's, paying more because so many of our seniors are just barely making ends meet, lowering the retirement age. There's a lot we could do and should do to take better care of folks who have labored their entire life. They've spent, the best years of their life laboring in our economy. To say that they should have to work a couple more years, that we should cut their benefits, there's a reason why French workers are protesting like they are, and I applaud them for doing so, and we should do the same here to defend the Social Security pension and all pensions of folks in this country.
Absolutely. And I do, just to be fair, because I'm interested in fairness. I have an opinion, but I do want to be fair. She did reply to that tweet. Now, Brianna just deleted her tweet. And I asked her because she deleted it after I quote tweeted her and, was like, what is this? A progressive saying that, working people should work longer. She deleted that tweet after that. And so I asked her if she deleted it because she realizes it was wrong, or why did she delete it? And she didn't answer. So who knows what Brianna's views are on this question. But Jill did reply, and she said, quote, lots of totally unhinged vitriol because Twitter is still Twitter, but also lots of interesting responses here. Happy to admit I'm wrong. Hopefully we're all entitled to one truly terrible, poorly thought out, shouldn't have been tweeted take per year, and hopefully I've just used my one up. Seriously, this was dumb of me. Wish I could delete, but I think that'll make folks angrier, so hopefully this will suffice. So, there we go.
Yeah, and I do give her credit for saying that. I mean, obviously she didn't have to. She could have doubled down. She didn't. Is she just backing down because she got piled on? Sure. I'm sure that's what it is, and this is just, some damage control. But that said, credit where credit is due. She said something stupid, and she's admitted it was stupid. But unfortunately, there are people with much more power than her who have that same stupid idea.
Right. And she's probably not going to be writing any columns about how we need to lower the retirement age anytime soon. She's probably just going to, move on. Yeah,
that's quite the brand of feminism, though.
Right.
Guess it need not apply after a certain age. Huh?
Right. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.